Are you looking for a fun breeding project? Try honey gouramis. They're easy to breed, make cool bubble nests, and it's an interesting little challenge to raise the fry. Keep watching to find out my top tips and tricks.
Hi, I'm a gamer's wife here with practical and proven fish care tips to help busy aquarists like you. And after all the enjoyment I got from breeding and raising my Cory catfish, I definitely knew I had to start another breeding project. After doing a little research, turns out my honey gourami Pikachu is pretty easy to breed, so I set about looking for a wife.
How to breed honey gouramis. First things first, gouramis breed and hatch very quickly, so before you introduce the potential parents, start your infusoria culture now, which I've linked in the description. For the breeding tank, I set up a 10-gallon aquarium with the heater raised to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. To make it easier to build a bubble nest, lower the water to 6 to 8 inches high, and then keep the water surface agitation at a minimum with a gentle sponge filter. And finally, add floating plants or large leaves at the surface, so it's easy to build the nest. I used both floating fake plants and an upside-down plastic cup, cut in half, which was inspired by betta breeders, and the male chose to build his nest under the cup. Condition them by feeding well with live and frozen foods several times a day, imitating favorable conditions for their fry. I was able to trigger breeding by feeding live baby brine shrimp. The male in breeding dress turns vibrantly colored with a blue-black throat and abdomen, while the female becomes plump with eggs. After making a suitable bubble nest, the male will embrace the female multiple times so that she drops her eggs, and he'll gather them up into his nest. Once she's emptied of eggs, he'll chase her away from the nest, and you can remove her from the breeding tank. I found a study from India saying that their honey gouramis laid 200 to 400 eggs per batch, with a 33% survival rate, where most deaths occurred among the 7 to 15-day-old fry. However, since my gouramis were first-time parents, they laid like 10 eggs that produced 2 healthy fry in the end. The eggs will hatch after 24 to 36 hours and then become free-swimming after another 1 to 2 days, during which time you can remove the male. How to raise honey gourami fry. For the fry tank, which was the same as my breeding tank, multiple sources said that high humidity was important for the fry's developing labyrinth organ, so I sealed the top of my tank with saran wrap. At 1 day old, the fry looked like tiny black tadpoles with a huge yolk sac attached. Because they aren't totally free swimming yet, they stayed close to surfaces like aquarium decor and even the glass. You can begin feeding them once they become free swimming. Now I took a page from master breeder Greg Sage and heavily fed the fry while maintaining high water quality. For the first 2 weeks, I fed them 5 times a day, alternating between infusoria and a little bit of Hikari first bites, and I changed 15 to 20% of the water every day. To remove fish waste and uneaten food, I tied a chopstick to one end of some airline tubing and then sucked on the other end to start the siphon, and then you put that end of the tubing in a net so it'll catch any fry that accidentally gets sucked up. I tried to feed them live baby brine shrimp when they were a week old, but their mouths simply weren't big enough, so better to wait until they're 2 weeks old to try. In the beginning, I collected the baby brine shrimp at the 18-hour mark rather than the usual 24 hours, so they would be even smaller than normal. You can tell if the fry are eating properly because they'll have pink bellies that match the color of the shrimp. My honey gouramis grew super fast on a diet of mostly live baby brine shrimp because it's so nutritious and the shrimp's jerky swimming motions really entice that feeding instinct. But you can also feed them liquid fry food, microworms, boiled egg yolk, the straight up powder form of rapashi, frozen baby brine shrimp, and eventually transition them to ground up flakes and other prepared foods when they're 6 weeks to 2 months old. As they grew bigger and stronger, I gradually decreased the feedings to 2 to 3 times a day and water changes to 2 times a week. Now at 2 months old, they are 3/4 to 1 inch long and are ready to sell. I really enjoyed breeding my first bubble nesting fish, and I feel like it's a lot easier than betta fish because the offspring can all grow up together in the same tank without lots of fighting. Figuring out how to feed those itty-bitty fry, though, was a little nerve-wracking since you can't easily see infusoria and tell how much the fry are eating. However, once you get past the 2-week mark, you're pretty much on the home stretch and it's easy going from there.
If you're interested in making more fish babies, check out my short playlist on breeding for fun, as well as subscribe to join our community. Take time to enjoy your aquariums, and I'll see you in the next video.